This podcast is sponsored by Pogo, Property Operations on the Go. Facility managers know how challenging it can be to keep everything running smoothly. That's why Pogo was created, a white-labeled software solution designed by property managers for property managers. Pogo is your ultimate all-in-one platform for managing multiple assets. With Pogo, you communicate with your tenants, manage maintenance requests, control property access, manage bookable spaces, and much more. Plus, with advanced analytics, Pogo empowers you to optimize your operations anytime, anywhere. The best part? Pogo is completely customizable to fit your brand and business. Simplify your operations, enhance tenant satisfaction, and save money with Pogo. Ready to make the switch? Visit gopogo.us to schedule your demo today. Pogo, one system, multiple solutions at your fingertips. Mark Befford here with another episode of Real Opportunity. We're really excited to have Rick Guild here today. He's Executive Vice President of Newmark Robinson Park in Tulsa. Thanks for being here.
I did. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you and I both have a little gray hair, so we've had a few experiences in our life a little bit.
Oh, I know. I think we'd have gray hair if we were just in this business for a month. So
no. I think you're exactly. So you had your gray hair back in the 80s.
83. That's when I started. Yep.
So let's go back. So you started in the business in 1983. Mm-hmm. What was your first job in the business?
At Trammell Crow Company.
Trammell Crow. So Trammell Crow, they don't have a presence here anymore. Trammell Crow really isn't around anymore because they were bought by CBRE.
They were.
But God, Trammell Crow was really one of the, if not the only or primary developer of product, both industrial and office, in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, correct?
Right. Well, they're the largest commercial real estate company in the world at the time.
At the time?
In 83, yeah.
Wow.
They were by far and away the largest, and headquartered out of Dallas, offices in every city.
So what was Mr. Crow like?
He was fantastic. You actually interviewed with Mr. Crow.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. Everybody did. And Mr. Crow sat out in a big open bullpen with Don Williams, who was the president, Bob Cresco, who was the number 3 guy, and Joel Peterson, and you interview with each one of them, and they could all hear everything that you said during each interview. So by the time you got to Mr. Crow, if you made it that far, he'd already heard everything you have to say.
Wow. And
so then you're talking to Trammell, and it's like, what do I got left here? So luckily I survived that. And
So you were in Tulsa, and the Tulsa market was run by George Lippy, is that right?
Correct. And started in 83 with George and worked side by side. When I say side by side, 6 feet away.
Yeah.
We all sat in an open bullpen. So George sat on my left.
That.
It's the best way to work.
Right.
It's the best communication. Everyone knew what everyone was doing all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could hear everything George said on my left side. Bob Faith was on my right side, who now started Greystar. It's the largest multifamily company in the world. Yeah. And so Bobby, as I called him, Bob Faith now that he's been so successful.
With Bill Maddox.
Exactly.
Bill
out
Maddox
of Oklahoma City. Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah. And so Bill was our managing partner in Oklahoma City for Trammell Crow. Bobby was just a leasing guy, came on board in 85 and was working with me and sat on my right side. So George over the years ended up being CEO and president of the entire company, but never left Tulsa, kept his home, still lives in the same home. Would always come in for at least a day a week. So even when he was running the largest commercial real estate company in the world, he sat in our office.
That's awesome.
I could hear everything he'd say. I could hear everything Bobby had going on. I mean, Bobby's first day, I'd been there for a couple of years, so I thought I kind of knew what I was doing. And Bobby's first day, of course, he came out of Harvard's MBA program like George did. And he said, hey, who's the 100 largest, companies in Tulsa? And I'm like, well, Chamber of Commerce has a list. And I gave him the list, and he just started calling them. He called up Williams Companies first, asked, can I talk to Keith Bailey? He's the CEO of the company. Yeah, and then he couldn't get through to him, so he called Roger Crandall in Dallas, trying to get a hold of him for American Airlines. And I'm just like, George and I were just like laughing, like, this guy has got some nerve. But that just kind of showed.
Hey, that's what it takes in this business.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it, but one of the things I've admired about you, Rick, is your tenaciousness and your desire to really create strong relationships. And I think that's your secret sauce that has really made you successful. And you're not about just creating a false relationship. You're about creating a really, truly binding relationship with people, because I've watched it and you care about these people. And I think that's what it really comes through. Tell us a little bit about how'd you get that trait?
Well, I mean, you're incredible at it. You just continually do things for people when there's nothing in it for you. You get on boards of. I've been on the Tulsa Boys Home board for 38 years, Girl Scouts board. Just you do things for the community. You do things as a parent. I coached Little League baseball for a long time, and just do the right thing. But I spend every day, 7 days a week, trying to get myself into the room where large amounts of square footage decisions are made. And that's what I think about. That's what, like my girlfriend, we'll go someplace, and if it's not a very nice place, she'll go, well, there's not much square footage in here. And it's a running joke. I mean, like if we walk into Southern Hills or we go to the Summit Club, it's like, hey, she'll see me. So you got so much fun.
So do you have it's a game? You got square foot pillow talk?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the last word before you sleep is square footage. Is that
no? But
pretty close.
But Kaylani is she had 230 residential real estate agents underneath her, so there was a lot of square footage and a lot of phone calls, and she understands it's a 24/7 business. And it's great being with somebody like that knows that you're going to take a call on a Saturday and a Sunday, knows that, like every Sunday, the building permits come out in the Tulsa paper, and she won't let me sometimes have the paper until later in the morning, because if I see a building permit in there that I wasn't involved in a multi-tenant office building, it kills me. And it's like, who could have leased the full floor at Santa Fe I didn't see. So
that brings me, you're creating a really pretty special team in Tulsa. So your son is now
Hudson.
You've convinced Hudson to leave his prior career and come into the real estate world in Tulsa. I think that's really, really cool. And Kaylani is now, so you got a powerful 3-person team. How's it working?
It's working well. Okay. The great thing is, if Kaylani and I ever get in any type of discussion on, is that your deal or my deal, or what percentage of that should I get? All the income's coming into the same family. So it's just going to be, is Mark Bedford going to know that this was my deal or your deal? And that's important. I mean, that's important. And CoStar is this going to be on CoStar credit for me or for you?
For you, that's right.
Kaylani wants that CoStar, Power Broker
That's
award,
awesome.
and she wants to be an SIOR. And so it's interesting.
So let's go back to 1983. How did you learn to get into the real estate business, and did you do anything before that?
I did. I graduated from OSU, and the top marketing jobs were Xerox, IBM, Procter & Gamble, and Hallmark Cards, believe it or not. Interviewed with all 4 of them, got job offers from all 4 of them. My dad wanted me to work for Procter & Gamble because he was a fruit jar salesman. And for 40 years, that's all he sold, was just fruit jars.
So a fruit jar salesman for 40 years.
40 years.
He made a living.
Not much. Yeah. We lived at 10412 Sunnymead here in the village. $16,500 house.
You're in the village in Oklahoma City? Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I graduated from John Marshall here.
Did you really? Okay.
Yeah, Ridgeview, Hoover, John Marshall. And, my parents bought that house for $16,500, stretched. And when my mom moved to Tulsa 45 years later, we sold the house for $53,000, and she could not believe, this was 15 years ago. She couldn't believe that somebody would pay $53,000 for that house in the village that they'd paid $16,500 for. I mean, 2 bedrooms. So me and my 2 brothers all slept in a small bedroom, and it was tight, but.
Wow. Okay. So he sold jars for a living, and that's all he did. Did he travel from city to city or state to state?
No, state to state. His territory was Oklahoma.
Right.
So he got in a car every Monday morning and drove to, Hera, to, the smallest towns you could ever imagine, go to the smallest grocery stores you could ever imagine, and sell maybe 5 or 6
Yeah.
cases of fruit jars, which are the worst thing in a grocery store. First of all, you don't even have to have them in your grocery store. Second of all, they take up an incredible amount of space, and they only cost $5 a case. So it's the worst thing. It's a grocery store owner's nightmare.
Well, so that actually, I get this vision of the Will Smith movie Pursuit of Happiness,
Mm-hmm.
when he was trying to sell that medical device and he was trying to come off the streets and stuff, and really the tenacity and what it took him to actually get there. So I think that's actually helped shape who you are today, right?
Well, a little bit, because there was only two fruit jar manufacturers, Ball and Kerr,
Yeah.
and both of them had the exact same product. So the only reason why the grocery store owner bought it, a Kerr, instead of a Ball, was because they liked my dad. That's
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
That's it. And
well,
so
and
that relationship forming,
you learned that as a young age. Whether you know it or not, you did.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my dad would always end the day, in a small town where the grocery store owner had a golf, course that he could play. And my dad would always go to that golf course and play at the end of the day to establish a relationship with that grocery store
That's
owner.
awesome.
And it worked. I mean, he never made $25,000 in a year, but he loved it, and it worked.
Well, let's take that golf course idea, because you're a member of the Southern Hills Golf Course Club,
Mm-hmm.
and has that been beneficial? And how do you navigate creating a relationship there without trying to impede one? I don't want to work. I want to enjoy my golf
Sure,
game.
absolutely.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't. You make sure that you don't talk, business,
Mm-hmm.
but you do get to know people through, like on the tennis team I'm on, there's a lot of square footage on that tennis team. Not that I recruited that tennis team, the club did, but there's just a lot of people out there that are very influential in Tulsa, and it's always great having personal relationships
Mm-hmm.
with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't play hardly any golf. I just can't find 5 hours to.
It's hard.
You don't play,
No,
and I don't either. I played one round last year.
Yeah.
But I'm out there a lot.
Okay, so Rick, you have really not really, you become for many years now the leading office broker in Tulsa. I mean, you've got a tremendous amount of awards, and let's talk about the journey it took to get there. How hard was it, those first? So in '83 was the oil and gas bust,
Mm-hmm.
and then both Tulsa and Oklahoma City, we were just fighting to survive.
It was brutal.
Fighting to survive. So what are some of the things that you learned early on that really got you to where you are today?
Well, we were so lucky in '83 at Trammell Crow. The market was horrible, and they actually had a draw against commission at Trammell Crow, which no one does that today.
Mm-mm.
And that's one of the things about commercial real estate. It's hard to get into this business because I listened to you and Gary's interview. You starve, for the first 6 months to a year until you start, getting
sometimes 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, depending on how hard you want to work.
I know. So it's a tough business to get into. So luckily I had, Trammell Crow had a couple of listings, and, mostly all industrial. And George Lippy was building additional industrial properties, and he was super excited about it. And then, so I got in with a little bit of runway there, which was helpful. Obviously, sat next to, an incredible person to mentor from. And then in '87, we got a phone call. Mr. Crow called, and, he called maybe once or twice a month to George, and he said, George, I could hear every word they said, of course, especially when Trammell calls. I'm like, something big must be going on. He says, well, we've purchased Williams Realty. And George is like, well, what's that mean? I mean, we don't know anything about the office market, nothing. We have a building we built, which we're giving away 16 months free rent on. We're dying on it. And it's like, well, Williams Realty owns BOK Tower, Williams Tower 1 and 2. Yeah. And we're buying it for $467 million, including the Tabor Center in Denver, including 2 skyscrapers in Charlotte, everything they have.
Let's back up. 467
largest deal that's ever been done in Tulsa or in Oklahoma.
$467 million in 1987.
Yes.
You bring those dollars to today, that's almost probably double that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's close to $1 billion deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And see what George's comment was when Trammell said, we just want to make sure you guys want to lease and manage them. Now, I'd really want to stay focused on our commercial development.
You're over there in the keyboard. No, we want that.
So I stayed up all night running the numbers. Stayed up all night. Yeah. Spent the night there. And George comes in the next morning. Goes, what's going on? I still got my suit on. It's like, George, look at these numbers. I mean, look at the management fee income. I know you don't want to do this, but I'll go downtown. Yeah. I'll do this. And so we ended up moving downtown to the BOK Tower. Mm-hmm. We didn't know anybody. We weren't a member of the Tulsa Club. We didn't have a single connection. Yeah. But we had the BOK Tower and Tower 1 and Tower 2 and, several, 3 or 4 million square feet down there.
Do you think that was the one thing that springboarded you in your career?
That helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, again, it's, you got to be tenacious. But sometimes you have to be lucky too.
Sure.
So that brought me downtown, and that gave me, all of a sudden I'm parking in the parking garage below the BOK Tower. Nobody even, I'd say, probably shouldn't say this on the air, but there's probably aren't 100 people even know it exists because there's only 95 spaces down there.
Got it.
For 1 million square feet.
Yeah.
But we got one.
You got one, huh?
Because I wanted to be on the elevator with Joe Williams, and Merrill Lynch was in the building, Arthur Anderson was in the building, every major accounting firm was in the building, and I'd pull in and I'd see Joe Williams getting out of his car. I'd kind of hesitate a little bit, get in the elevator with him. I'd have 30 seconds with Joe Williams. I'd have 30 seconds with Stan Linebarger, who's the president of BOK. Yeah, and
Well, so you're the one who invented the elevator pitch.
Yep. So I didn't invent it, but I certainly.
Well, you did it before it became an elevator pitch, right?
No, I'm sure that, but yeah,
that's awesome.
It's just just where people recognize you, even if they don't know your name.
Yeah.
Just they see you and they kind of know who you are, and if you're coming out of that parking garage, their immediate perception is, even though it wasn't true, was this guy must be somebody, and I wasn't. I just was in the business, but I parked down there and we owned that building. And
that's
so
awesome.
It certainly, was a good start.
So what's George doing today?
He, when CBRE bought Trammell Crow, he stayed in for a little while. He just didn't, it was a totally different thing. Mm-hmm. But if you look at what's happened, and all of a sudden, it's like CBRE relocates to Dallas. Why is that? Well, it's because all the people that came on board from Trammell Crow are running CBRE.
Yeah.
And they never left. They stayed in Dallas. Just like George stayed in Tulsa. And when he left Trammell Crow, I called him at home and said, "Hey, what are you going to do?" And he said, "Well, just anything Sally tells me to do," his wife. And I said, "No, really, what are you going to do?" He said, "I'm just going to hunt and fish." And that's all he's done.
That's awesome.
It's been 25 years or so.
How would he be 7?
My age? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old are you today?
69.
69. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought he's around 70.
Yeah. So. He might be a year younger or older than me, probably a year older, I would think. Mm-hmm. He came out of Harvard's MBA program. I think he's got to be a year or two older than me, I think.
So what does your day look like?
Get up early.
So when you get up, are you
not as early as you.
4 or 5, 6 o'clock guy?
No, I'm not a 4 or 5 guy like you are. I've learned if I want to get a response from you, send you an email about 4:45 in the morning. You'll immediately get back to me, and I can kind of hang out and
that is true, because otherwise they pile up.
I know.
And if I get that early one, absolutely, I get her done.
I know. So now get up at a little later than that, but just immediately check the computer, make sure there's nothing super pressing going on, and then just start getting after it. I'm probably working 50 leases right now, and I think most of my competitors are working 5 maybe. We've got 3 million square feet. We just picked up 9 or 10 new buildings from Group RMC. So that's a really good fit for us, because we've got a great office building downtown with 110 West 7th, And then we've got, the best, suburban buildings with Warren Place, 1 and 2. And now this is a perfect fit where we've got something in the middle.
Yeah.
So unlike my dad that only had a fruit jar to sell, we've got stripes, solids, anything you're looking for.
Right. You got good diversity.
Great
from downtown to
diversity,
suburban.
great ownership in all of them,
Yeah.
that have money to make things happen. If a deal makes sense, you can make it. And we should see, I try to see every deal.
Yeah.
And one of the most, some of the best news that I've seen in a long time, and I haven't shared with you yet, is I was on the phone on the way up here. There was a $45 lease done in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
$45.
Full service gross or net?
Well, I'm adding up it's a triple net deal. It was a sublease, 25,000 square feet at Santa Fe, Vital Energy. They're handing back 77,000 feet. And this tenant took the 10th floor, $32 rent, $14.22 operating expense.
Wow.
Add those two up, you're at
$46. Wow.
And just think, if every deal you and I had done, in the past 40 years, we're at $40 instead of $20 and a lot of 15s and 16s.
You just doubled your income.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, and again, it's that rising waters, lift all ships.
Yeah, that's right.
When I was involved in Bass Bank and we did the first $30 deals, when I finished that project, I'm like, oh man, thank God we got that 100% lease, because I don't think there's any more $30 tenants out there. And there's certainly not going to be any more office buildings built, even though we got it, leased before it was finished. Well, then, Santa Fe gets announced, and I'm like, oh, I was so wrong. It's like, good luck. Another 150,000 feet of, now they got, their construction prices were higher than ours. Their operating expenses are higher than ours.
Right.
So now instead of getting $31, you got to get $35. Never happened. They start making a couple of deals, of course it helped that we had a really interesting, crazy run on office space by all the major law firms. We had when McAfee and Taft moved downtown and finished out really nice space in Williams Tower 2, I repped them. That just created this energy among all the other law firms that they had to compete. So then Gable, we put Gable into Vass, and then Connor Winters moves into new space. I represented them, put them in First Place Tower, and before you know it, Crow Dunlevy, can't go to Santa Fe because Hall Estel's got the exclusive rights on a sign on that building, so they have to go to WPX. So you got Crow Dunlevy, WPX, you got Hall Estel at Santa Fe.
That's right.
Well, then, another law firm comes up, and it's like, where do I go now? Everybody's got their name on a building. So, we get Prey Walker to go to Greenwood, and because where else can you go?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's that flurry of leasing activity helped these new buildings, and now all those tenants, all those law firms, which is interesting that you go do a 10 and a 15-year lease as a law firm, and you're trying to attract these employees that are on month-to-month contracts.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a business model that most people.
It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. And so, do you think that's a new norm? That rates are going to start to see that, and
Yep.
it is the old flight to quality.
Flight to quality.
Yeah.
It's crazy. At Warren, we've done 48 leases in less than a year and a half.
Wow.
And these are with, great tenants. We just, it's just with great tenants.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of national tenants, and that's the biggest problem with our market in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. We don't have enough national tenants to fill up the buildings that need to be filled up. And so unfortunately the B and the C buildings have suffered because of that. If you look at the three new buildings that were built downtown, Bass, Santa Fe, and WPX, all of them every deal in there was done with local tenants. And that doesn't help the marketplace.
Right,
we had a bank come in from Arkansas that would have been here anyway, but other than that, it was all Hilmerich and Payne and Hall Estel and Crow Dunlevy, and the same tenants that all came out of older buildings that had more square footage, and then they justified the cost by taking half as much space but paying twice as much rental rate.
Wow.
in rough numbers.
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you see as some of the challenges in our marketplace or in the Tulsa market over the next 12 to 24 months?
Well, even at Warren Place, where we've done all these leases, the reason why everyone was, God, you guys are just leasing so much space out there. Are you full? And it's like, no, because these oil and gas mergers have just been brutal.
So you're leasing, but then you take two steps up, one step back.
Right.
2 steps up, 2 steps back.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So just at Warren, Sim Group gets bought out by Energy Transfer. Bam, 95,000 feet, and I'm repping them. I've got 2 letters of intent to either stay at Warren for 10 years or move to Santa Fe for 10 years, and we're just choosing. Then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. Same thing, as with Devon. Same thing as now with Vital Energy. Vital Energy started out as Laredo Petroleum. Randy Fouch, had a company, called me, said, hey, I'm going to start a new company. I'm selling this company. They're already in the building. They start, Laredo with 4,500 square feet. We grow it up to 137,000 feet.
Wow.
They moved. They changed their name, merged with another company, moved to Santa Fe. So they've gone from 77,000 feet to zero. They won't have any space.
So they sold and they closed Tulsa.
Closed Tulsa April 1. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Sold to Crescent. Yeah. And no one's ever heard of Crescent. They're a big company, and there are Williams in Houston, and there's a million Williamses in Houston.
Right.
And so, but I mean, like, think of how lucky we were, like with the One Oak merger acquisition of Magellan. What if Magellan, would have
sold to Conco or whatever,
or if just Magellan would have been in Houston, those people, wouldn't be still in Tulsa.
Right.
So because Magellan had 220,000 feet. Yeah. They had 5 floors in the BOK tower, 2 floors in one technology. Those leases come up in 27. So you talk to Pierce and the group at One Oak, and right now they're utilizing the space, kind of staging people back and forth, but they want to get everybody in their corporate headquarters. So we may have 5 floors come back at BOK and 2 floors come back at One Technology, but at least those people will stay here, the ones that survive the merger.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is there's just this uncertainty in the corporate world of these large space users, and people getting bought and gobbled up when they close offices. But you've actually been able to plug those holes in relatively short order. Are we plugging the holes with as these companies sell, they get a pot of cash, they restart their business, and then backfill this space again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that. We've renewed 4 or 5 large. We did a 10-year deal with NGL at Warren for 27,000 feet. We've renewed all of our oil and gas groups. Many of them are for sale right now, but they're planning on doing the next version of that, and so they're continuing to keep their office space. They'll do a 5-year deal, but they want a termination option at the end of 3 because they've got a 3-year plan. But what happens if it goes 3.5? So we're seeing a lot of that, but that's fine if we're not putting in a lot of tenant finish. The deals at Vast and at Santa Fe and at WPX, they're putting in $150 a foot. The landlord is of tenant improvements, and you and I have never seen tenants put their own money in. They're doing it at those buildings. Yeah. At Vast, we paid for all the tenant finish. Yeah. But at Santa Fe and at WPX, those tenants reached in their pocket and paid, in some cases over $1 million of their own tenant improvements. And that is something that,
we actually see that here in Oklahoma City. We for whatever reason, we stay pretty strict on our allowance, and if it goes over, the tenant typically.
Oh, I know you're strict on your allowances. Believe me.
I'm not that bad, am I? Okay, so give me 1 or 2 opportunities that you see over the next 12 to 24 months in the office world.
Well, I think, the opportunities are trying to figure out, what are we going to do with all the B buildings that are that can't be converted to condominiums. They can't be converted to medical. RMC sold a building to a group a family services group.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of that, will happen, but I think we're going to be able to push rents. I really do. In the really great properties, I think we'll be able to push rents even further. Mm-hmm. We're at $28 a foot at Warren, and we're making, a lot of deals. I think we can push that a little bit. Obviously, the nicer buildings I think are going to do well. I'm not sure what the answer is I've seen buildings get converted into country clubs. They add some tennis courts and they've done that in 2 buildings in Dallas, 1 in Houston.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creative people out there. So
Tulsa's been really successful in converting some office buildings into residential. I think they've done a really good job.
They have.
And do you see more of that happening?
I do. I do. Stuart Price has just done a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, the Arco building was impossible to lease as an office building. Didn't, have, it's big floor plates and downtown, and he, just created a great, residential feel to it. It's connected to, the tunnels, so that that a lot of people don't even know exist downtown, and it's really it's got that building completely off the market. He's doing several others. The Petroleum Club building, we still need to figure out that building.
Right.
It was going to get converted to residential. Not sure what will happen there, but it's, and when the Laredo left 9 floors at the Bank of Oklahoma or Bank of America building, I thought, how's Stewart ever going to replace those tenants? And he did.
And he did, yeah.
He did. And he replaced them quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge in these older buildings is the newer tenants have typically a little bit higher occupancy, as far as people load. And when you're moving a Laredo out and they're all in hard-walled offices and you're replacing it with a Northwestern Mutual Life that have denser operations, it can challenge your parking.
Yeah. Good point. Are you seeing a trend back to higher density or more hard offices?
More hard offices, which I never thought I'd see. I thought that train had left, but when you're trying to get that key engineer to come back to the office, and he's figured out that he can do it from the house. And you're saying, hey, come back to this old tired cubicle you're in. It's like, maybe if you gave me an office and maybe if you moved to Santa Fe, or you moved to WPX, or you moved to Vast. So all of that's triggering people trying to get their workers to come back.
Do you think you'll see any new construction over the next 12 to 24 months? Do you think we've run the course?
I thought we'd run the course at Vast, and obviously I was so wrong.
Yeah.
So I never say never, but costs are even higher than when they built WPX. Of course, costs really weren't a consideration at WPX because that was going to be their corporate headquarters.
Right.
So that building got built with that. Nobody was looking at an out option, or what do we do if this doesn't work. So the costs there, weren't considered. But Santa Fe, extremely sophisticated, developers, involved in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And so I would personally love to see it. I think I would love to see a new building get built and us bring a corporate relocation into Tulsa instead of just taking all the existing tenants we have and having them upgrade their office space.
Yeah. You've been successful in, we talked about the convergence to residential, but you've also been successful in taking some facilities and selling them to alternative uses, i.e. you sold a building to a church.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a couple of others. So, I mean, that's a great thing about you, Rick, is your creativity and really thinking beyond the box that, hey, this doesn't have to just be an office building.
Yeah, when I was representing a unit to sell their building, we were talking to Quick Trip, we were talking to Zico, we were talking to all the people that you would think you would talk to, and then Transformation Church, comes up, and I'm talking to, I won't name any names, but I was with him this past week at having a beer, and I said, "You remember when I called you on Transformation Church?" He said, "Yeah, next." And I said, no, I think this might happen. I think this might happen. And it did.
It did. Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of Michael's.
I remember you told me, and I said, I don't know.
I could hear it. I could hear it. I could hear it. And, it's kind of like, and then, they bought unit billing for $35 million, and then they bought the Seltzer Schaefer billing for $5 million. And, they bought the event center for $10 million. The shopping center surrounded them for $20 million. So they spent $60 million in a pretty short period of time.
And did you sell all those to him?
Just two.
Just the Seltzer Schaefer and then
the unit building. So I just got $40 million of that. I would like to have gotten all of that. So it's just, you got to kind of keep your ears open, and you never know who. A lot of times things that don't seem to make sense don't make sense, but when they do, it's fun.
So what do you do for fun? Do you ever take a vacation?
Not a lot. We're going to go see the Savannah Bananas in Yankee Stadium.
Fun.
They're going to be playing, and I'm a huge Yankees fan.
So you're going to New York City?
Mm-hmm.
Were you staying at our hotel?
Stay at the Martindale.
Okay.
Yeah, Martinique. Yeah, Martinique.
Okay, great. I want to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Great location.
Yeah, it is.
It's the perfect place.
Great.
And so, we're going to go. We go to probably 6 or 7 Yankees games a year, like going to New York. Huge Yankees fan. Mickey Mantle and Bobby Mercer are both from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I grew up being a Yankees fan, and they were terrible when I played baseball for John Marshall, and thought I had somewhat of a possible, career. But
baseball?
It was quickly, as soon as I walked on OSU's baseball.
Let me see if I can guess what position you were. I would say you're a second baseman.
Shortstop.
You're shortstop?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not for OSU, I'm not. I can tell you, Chet didn't even pay attention to me. Okay. So, my baseball career was.
But at least you got a tryout.
Yeah, it wasn't a try. It was
a walk-on.
A walk-on.
A walk-in.
How
long did you last?
I think just like a few hours.
No way.
I was a starting shortstop at John Marshall. I thought I was pretty good, but OSU was, national champion.
Oh, they're good.
I quickly, and I head coached both my son's baseball teams. So I quickly learned you can be the second best team in the league and not be anywhere close to, being as good as the number one team. There's big separators.
Yeah.
And sports has just completely changed since those days.
So what's next for you?
I'm never going to retire. I like it. It's fun.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And it's fun. What's great when you get to this point in your career, you kind of get to choose who you want to do business with. But I still do 1,500 foot, 3,000 foot deals. And having, my family involved in the business is great. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what else I would do. Mike Predovic, who is extremely successful leasing guy.
He's in Florida now, right?
Yeah. He's in Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah. And he, is retired, but I can tell when I talk to him, he still misses the business. Mm-hmm. And I think Joe Brandt still misses the business, who is another very successful.
Joe's in Florida.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. Joe's in Florida. I knew one of them. Yeah, those are some staple names.
And I was always convinced that Joe wasn't totally retired. And then when I was interviewing to get Sim Group's tenant rep business for 95,000 feet, and I knew Joe had always represented them, and then they hire me. I asked him, I said, Joe Brandt's always been your broker. He said, oh yeah, we called him first, and he said he was retired. And I will never be that retired. If I'm 105 years old and somebody calls me for a
100,000 square foot deal, I'm in.
Yeah, like a $2 million commission, I'm in.
The interesting thing about that is I do think you're going to live to 105.
I don't know.
You got enough spunk in you. I think you're going to live to 105, Rick.
I don't know.
You will.
I don't know. But
okay, so if you could give any advice to the younger generation that wants to get in the brokerage business, what would it be?
Relationships. It's all about relationships. Yeah. And you got to go out and make cold calls. Mm-hmm. There's so many different ways to put your name out there these days. Social media, it's great. put stuff out on Facebook, put stuff out on Instagram, get on LinkedIn. All that stuff's great. But you're not going to find out that inside information from doing that. Do an AI search, and I use AI some. Do an AI search for lease expirations in Tulsa. What comes up? Nothing. Because the people that have gone out and found out the lease expirations, they're not going to put that on the internet. Mm-hmm. And AI can't get anything that's not been put out digitally. So I'm not going to share my information. You're not going to share your information. So the people that have the relationships and have the inside information, everyone wants to do business with somebody that they feel like knows more about the market than anyone else does.
Right.
You are so far ahead of everybody in Oklahoma City, mm-hmm. that of what you know, of what you've been involved in. Everyone wants to do business with you. Yeah. You want to be that person that is going to know that a $45 square foot deal was just done in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. That's going to know a building's for sale. Just always going to be a step ahead. And the only way you're a step ahead is being in the room with the people that are making those decisions, whether that's at Southern Hills or Mahogany's or at Cassia or Holland Hall or, whatever it takes to be in that audience. Yeah. And so, surround yourself with as, many people as you can. Talk about your business 24/7. Always keep your business cards. I've given some of our younger guys here a hard time. It's like, give me a business card. And they're like, oh, I don't have one. I don't have it yet. Hey, I've got like every morning I put like 8 or 9 in my front right pocket. Mm-hmm. And people will never remember your name, But if you hand them a business card,
they might remember.
They might remember it. They might not.
That's right.
They might not. Yeah. But
that's right.
Right now I've got Hudson out cold calling. And I go cold calling with him a couple of weeks ago, and our second cold call, we call this tenant, and they're looking to buy $1.5 million building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the guy walks out to go get one of his business cards, and I look over at Hudson, he high fives me, and I'm like, now, how cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was fun for me.
And to watch your son get excited about it. Because I know you had to kind of convince him to get out. He was in the technology business, mm-hmm. wasn't he?
Yeah.
You had to kind of convince him to kind of switch out because he had a pretty comfortable job.
Very comfortable.
If I recall.
Yeah.
And it's not comfortable working for you.
No.
Or with you.
No.
I mean, it's comfortable, but it's not. You know, you got to work.
But he sees, I think, my enthusiasm for it. He knows that I've had fun doing it. But it's been, when you don't, have to be at work all the time, and you're getting paid, but you're never going to get paid for that. You're always going to get paid for what you're going to eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And if you're not killing anything for a company, they're never going to pay you a whole much of money. When I was with Xerox, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many copiers I was selling, and I'm like, how can I make any more money? I'm selling all I can. Well, my product wasn't expensive enough. So I started looking around, like, what have other successful Xerox people done? Joe Brandt, Ken Tooman, all of them. They all went into commercial real estate. Well, why? Well, you add up. People don't add up how much a lease, like even a small deal at Warm Place is $1 million because it's $28 a foot, and you're doing long-term
what you're saying
deals.
Is you'd rather have a commission on $1 million lease than a $35,000 copier?
Yeah, or a $6 case of fruit jars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Let's go all the way back to your dad.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Yeah, and like, well, I don't need fruit jars. Do you have wishbone salad dressing? No,
I just got some fruit jars.
But I've got these fruit jars. Well, I've got some ball fruit jars. Well, you need to go break them. My dad would go to people's homes. Swear to you, go to people's home. If they saw a ball jar, he would take the jar and say, "Could I break this and bring you a dozen of them tomorrow?" And they're like, what? And he would, is that okay? I'll bring you a dozen of these tomorrow. And he would break them and then go, to our house and get a dozen fruit jars and give it to them. So none of our neighbors ever would buy anything but Kerr fruit jars. And
wow.
Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
I mean, awesome. Of course we had a fruit jar coming out of the back of our car.
Yeah.
On the side of our car, it said, "Hello, I'm Howard Guile. Asked me about Kerr fruit jars."
Oh, wow.
I mean, this is what I drove around in as a kid. And people would stare at you, and so like going and cold calling people. It's
that's
like
cool. That's cool. Well, Rick, I want to finish up by saying something. I think Tulsa does a really good job of connecting the brokerage community. And I love the event that you guys have on an annual basis. Everybody wears a dress up.
Yep.
Wears a tux and wears the nice dresses. And you were shocked this last year, weren't you? You were shocked this last year because you got the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I tell you, they started that, and I thought, that's really, really cool, that acknowledgement. And they didn't tell you, but think about it. Your peers gave you that award as a first. They've got respect for you. They may not like you, but they got respect for you. I thought it was really cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I was shocked and I had no idea it was coming.
Yeah. I could tell.
Yeah.
I was good.
Oh,
I was proud for you.
I didn't know what. I very seldom do I get up and not have something. I had no idea that was coming, and it was so cool.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm glad that some of my family was there to experience that. That was cool.
Well, thanks for being here today, Rick.
Thank you.
We really haven't had a chance just to have a casual conversation like this. We're always kind of going, and
we're always working on deals.
We're working and stuff. So I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day. Actually, you drove from Tulsa and you're going to drive back. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here.
Mark, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no thought of going to work for somebody else after I started my own company. And when I met you and saw what you had going on here and what could happen in Tulsa, I mean, it was a no-brainer, and it's been a huge home run for me. I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Well, I mean, you're our leader there, and I appreciate it. And we got some great years ahead of us because you're 69, I'm 63. I'm going to die at my desk, and so will you. So let's make sure we both get to at least 100.
Let's
How's
do
that?
it. Let's
All
have fun.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.